In this video, you will learn how to transpose a song to fit your singing voice.
Well, you can't tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man, no time to talk.
I fell into a burning ring of fire, went down.
We all get excited to learn songs we love. So we'll figure out the chords or look up the chords. We learn it. We got it down. We're ready to sing it. And it sounds like garbage because we're trying to sing really high like Paul McCartney or the Bee Gees, or we're trying to sing low like Johnny Cash. And it's a very amateur mistake. Not even an amateur mistake. I did it for way too long, where I would refuse to transpose a Beatles song because, oh, that's the key that it's in. But that's nonsense. Change the key, because if it fits your voice, it's going to sound, that's what it's all about. You want to sing to fit your vocal range where it sounds nice. And, there's absolutely no shame in it. You're, in my opinion, a fool if you don't do it. So what is transposition? To transpose a piece of music is simply to take the original key and move it either higher or lower and put it in a different key. So the easiest way to think about it is this is a C chord. What's that lime in the coconut song? Put the lime in the coconut and pick it all up. Put the lime in the coconut. Right, so that's an easy one to transpose. Now we're in the key of C, right? It's a C7 chord. Now if you move it up one fret, we're now in the key of D flat or C sharp. Put the lime in the coconut and drink it all up. Put the lime in the coconut. Right? That's the whole song. You can move it up again. Now we've transposed it to the key of D. Put the lime in the coconut. And that's basically it. Alright. It's not really that easy. It's a little harder. Let's take a popular song as an example. And I can show you how to transpose it, what that does for your voice, and then we'll break down how to make that simple. There's a nice little kind of cheat sheet you can use that's very simple to transpose any song. You don't have to memorize every major key and relate it to another one. None of that mumbo jumbo. I'll just show you a very simple thing you can write down. But for now, let's do Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. C to A minor. The melody starts on the note G, right? I heard there was a secret chord, C to A minor, that David played and it pleased the Lord, to an F. But you don't really care for music, to a G, and then back to C, do you? Alright, so I could change that and sing it way up here, right? Listen how different it sounds. I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? I could do it even higher, but I don't want to. You get the idea. I could do it lower. Where are we? Fifth. I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? So first, I'm going to show you how to transpose, and then we'll get on to transposing for your voice. So here we go. Down, we just have all the musical notes, right? We have A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp. And then we're back where we started. If you have flats in your songs, then simply do A, B flat, B, C, D flat, D. Right? So that's your one column. Now, look at that, it's magic. So let's say my song was originally in the key of A, and I wanted to raise it up to the key of C. Then I just make A equal C, and then in my second column, I write down all the notes in order. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. And now they all equal each other. And that's it. So if the first song called for an A major chord, you're now going to play C major. If the original key, let's say the progression was A to F sharp minor, well now that F sharp minor becomes an A, and that A major becomes a C. And that's your key. It's as simple as that. You keep the qualities the same. So obviously minor chords stay minor chords, majors stay major, etc. And that's it. And you can do this cheat sheet. All you really need to do is write this out one time. Now if you wanted to change A to the key of D, then I would just start this as a D and go D, D sharp, E, F, F, and that's it. And this is your cheat sheet. So all the chords in the first column that are in the song become the chords in the second one. And it's that easy, and you can do it with a piece of paper and a pencil in your mind. So gather your mind and get a pencil and paper. So Hallelujah was in the key of C originally. I heard there was a secret chord. Now let's turn that, let's say we want to sing it a little higher. Let's put it in the key of D. So write in one column all your notes starting at C, C, C sharp, D, etc. And then in the second column, start with D. Then write D, D sharp, E. Let's do it. You do it. And then match mine. Ta-da! Isn't it beautiful? So I've got my original key of C and all the chromatic notes going down. And then here I have the new key, the key of D, and all the chromatic notes going down. And now they equal each other. So instead of playing C major, I heard there was A minor, a secret chord. I'm going to play D major, I heard there was, I don't know if I'm singing in the right key, and then down A equals B. So then we'll go over to B minor, a secret chord. So let's try D to B minor and see if it sounds right. I heard there was a secret chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord. It works! The next section was F, G, and back to D. So if you look here, our F is a G, and our G, I can't point while looking at the camera, is an A. So we have G, A after that part. But you don't really care for music. Back to the C, which is now a D. Do you? You're doing it. You're transposing. You're great.
It's called the capo, okay? It's called the capo. Just use the capo. Mike's music moronic method. Just move the capo up to different frets, and that'll transpose the key.
That guy's annoying. But he's got a point, right? We do have capos. That's a really generic way of doing it. But that guy's also wrong. Although we could move it up to the key of D, right? C, C sharp, D. I moved my capo up 2 frets. So then that means by putting my capo on the 2nd fret, I went from C to C sharp to D. So if you're a guitar player, you can do that. And that's easy enough. And you can play the exact same shapes. So it is quicker in some regard. I heard there was a secret chord. Right? If I go to the 4th fret, I moved it up 4 notes from C to, you figure it out, C to 1, 2, 3, 4. The key of E. I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But sometimes you want to go lower. And what do you do then? You can't negative capo. I suppose you could go from 0 to putting your capo on the 11th fret, smart guy with the glasses. You going to put your capo up on the 11th fret? Great. You can transpose. Well done. Practice, pick a bunch of different songs, transpose, see if they sound the same. Get good at it. But now, how do we get it to fit your personal voice? So there are 2 ways to do this. One is trial and error. Just pick a bunch of different keys. And if you're going to do that, I would recommend jumping around a little bit just to see how drastically different you can make it. So if you're in the key of C, like, boom, go down, do it in the key of G. Everything's going to be a 5th apart, so you're going to have to sing it really different. So you could do trial and error and see how that goes. Or, to be more accurate, what I would recommend doing is figuring out whatever song you're playing, find the lowest note you're singing, and then the highest note you're singing. So in Hallelujah, spend a minute singing the song, pause the video, and then let me know if you figured out what the lowest note is and the highest note. Any luck? If you had a lot of trouble, there's 2 ways to do this. One is to find the sheet music and actually look which note is the lowest and which note is the highest. Or I recommend with every song you're going to sing, figure out every single note of the melody on your instrument. And that's a great way to practice singing along with it, right? So, like if you're just going to do Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and then sing with it, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. It's amazing how often I used to learn cover songs, or even write my own songs, and there were some in-between notes, like in a quick phrase where I wasn't even sure of what note I was singing. I would just kind of drop down to another note, and I realized how lazy that is. You really want every syllable to count. So every song you're going to perform, I would really recommend learning the melody on your instrument, piano or guitar or whatever, and sing along with that melody instead of the chords. You should be able to sing a song a cappella, hitting all the notes perfectly, without leaning on your instrument as a crutch to hear the intervals. So you could go really slow through that song and figure it out on your instrument. But here we go. The highest note was an E, right? What is the chord? It's a baffled king composing an E. Hallelujah. So it's that high E. And then it's actually the end of the chorus that has the lowest note. Hallelujah, 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 which is a C. So your range in the key of C is that low C to a high E. Now for me, I can hit that high E, but I've got to be warmed up and I've really got to lean into it, which sometimes could be what you want. You might want that high note to kind of be on the upper part of your register. I clearly don't want to go falsetto, and I'd rather be more relaxed. So I would probably drop this song down from C down to the key of B flat, because I have a lot more wiggle room, right? I could sing that low B flat. La, that's pretty easy for me. And that brings my E down to a D, which is way easier for me to sing than that high E. So maybe bring it down to B flat, or maybe I bring it down to A. And of course, figure out your vocal range, right? How low can you sing? Find your note. La, la, la. I kind of have a head cold, so I can go lower than usual. La. For me, I don't like going too much lower than a G, and I don't like going too much higher than an E. So figure out your range, memorize it, know it, and go from there. Before we troubleshoot, let's review. The first thing you want to do is start with your original key, write down all the notes chromatically, and then write the new key and write all those notes chromatically. And that's your special Rosetta Stone. And then you just transfer all the chords from the first key into the next key. The second thing is to know your range. What are the lower notes you're comfortable singing and the higher ones? And then finally, you're figuring out, and this is the tricky part, you want to learn the entire song, the melody to the entire song, and figure out what the song's lowest note is and the song's highest note, and then try to figure out how to move those two into a key that fits. Let's do that. Let's take Hallelujah, which was in the key of C, and we'll move it down to the key of A. So do your little cheat sheets, pause the video, figure it out, write out the chord progression, come back, and let's sing it together. If you're good at music theory, you'll just know that everything has gone up a major sixth, or you can think about it as going down a minor third. If you don't know anything about music theory, then you just use your Rosetta Stone, and you figure it out. So again, we start at C, everything chromatic, and we've moved everything into the key of A. And there you go. So what does that look like? Our chord progression, which was once this, C, A minor, F, G, C, G, is now C equals A, right? The A minor now equals F sharp minor. And there you go. Let's try it. I heard there was a secret chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? Ah, that sounds way better. It feels better to sing it in that key. So experiment, move it around. Troubleshooting. You might run into some problems. One common one is you'll change the key and you'll drive yourself nuts because you won't know how to sing it anymore. Don't get discouraged. This happens sometimes. Your ear just gets fried from changing the key and you don't know how to sing it anymore. So what you can do is write down the beginning few notes, right? If you wrote out the whole melody and you can play it on your instrument, then you're simply moving that melody up accordingly, right? So you look at your cheat sheet for all your melody notes and you'd have to write the melody out again. As a guitar player, it's easier because if it was in the key of G, you could just, move your hand up to the key of A and do the same position. So, for example, let's take the beginning of that Hallelujah song. In the key of C, the beginning, the way I'm singing it, I heard there was a secret chord. I'm starting on the E. And then I go to a G. Heard there was up to A, a secret chord. take your cheat sheet. My E now becomes what? A C sharp, right? My G becomes what? An E. My A becomes an F sharp, right? So I move that down so it's lower. So in the key of A, I'm doing it there, right? I transpose my melody as well. And sometimes all it takes is just giving yourself the first few notes, right? So I play that new chord. I'm used to singing in C. I heard there was a secret chord. Then I get to the key of A major. I heard there was. You don't know where it is. So you also transpose those first few notes, right? So now I know it starts on C sharp, E, F sharp, sorry. Yeah, C sharp, E, F sharp. I heard there was a secret chord. And now I play the chords. I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. And usually when you get the beginning, then your ear will lock in and the rest of the song should be pretty smooth. Troubleshoot number 2. What if you're learning a song and you figure out the entire melody and you realize the low note is too low and the highest note is too high? So no matter where you transpose, it doesn't matter where you transpose the key. The low note's still going to be too low or the high note's still going to be too high. You're not, right? If you make the low one higher, then all you've done is made the higher one even higher. And if you try to drop the high note lower, then you've made the lower one that's already too low even lower. And you move your arms like this and you're frustrated. So there's 2 things you can do. One is you can change the octave of the lower part or the higher part, or you can use your creative, smart brain, artistic heart and soul to rewrite the melody a little bit. So let's talk about those 2 options. Here is the octave changer. You can always take a part that's too low and sing it higher, but in this example I'm going to take a part that's a little bit too high and sing it lower. So let's do Hallelujah in the key of C. We have the end of the first verse. The baffled king composing Hallelujah. I've got to be really warmed up to sing that and make it sound like I'm not shouting. So maybe I'll just drop that one high part down. So not the whole thing. The minor fall, and the major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah. Right, I haven't rehearsed it. Doesn't sound great. But you get the idea. I took that high E that was in there, and I just took the phrase that leads up to that high E and made the whole thing an octave lower. Sometimes that's all you have to do, and it won't even stand out as sounding wrong or bad. But sometimes you want to do the other thing, where you take the low one and sing that an octave higher. Sometimes the high part of the song is like triumphant, and if you drop it an octave lower, it doesn't work. So it is a matter of trial and error. So maybe I would lower the key of this song, and if the low note was too low, then I would transfer that one into a higher octave. Option number 2 is to be creative and change the melody. Maybe pretend on that really high part you were just the singer in the background singing the harmony. And so what you're going to do is just sing a harmony to that line a little bit lower than the original line. So I'm going to try to do that with the end of the verse here, and maybe we'll get something kind of interesting, right? Heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the 4th, the 5th, the minor fall, and the major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah. Right, so that's not the original melody, but it doesn't sound bad, right? I didn't go as high as the E. I just sang something that was a little bit lower. So you can experiment with that idea as well, because some songs just aren't going to fit your range. At least not mine. I don't have this incredible range. So be creative. If something's too low, make it a little bit higher. If something's too high, make it a little bit lower. Right? So you got the 2 options. Either switch the octave or be creative and come up with your own melody that's slightly different, that fits your voice. You're a transposing genius. I think that about covers it. If you have any questions, comment below. Please like this video and subscribe. I put a lot of time into these things, and it would be great if you could share it or just show that you enjoy it. It would mean a lot to me. And that's it. Go get it. Let me know what else, other videos you'd like me to do next.
There's a transpose button on your keyboard. Just hit the transpose button a few times and it'll be in a different key.